I'm Natalie Greer, 32 years old, and I never thought I'd be the kind of person to get revenge. I'm not loud or confrontational. I'm not the one flipping tables or screaming in people's faces. I'm the kind of woman who remembers birthdays, alphabetizes her spice rack and sends thank you cards. I'm thoughtful, responsible, the one who keeps the family group chat alive. But sometimes being the responsible one gets you used. Especially when it comes to family. My sister, Vanessa, is 5 years older than me. She was always the wild one, impulsive, charming when it suited her, and somehow always the victim no matter what storm she caused. My parents used to say she's just going through a phase, but her phases lasted decades. She never held a steady job, bounced from city to city, and always showed up at holidays with a new boyfriend and a new crisis. When my parents passed in a car accident 5 years ago, I was devastated. They were my anchor, my safe place. Suddenly, I was standing in front of lawyers hearing about wills and probate and property rights while trying to figure out how to grieve without falling apart. The house we grew up in, our childhood home, was left to both Vanessa and me jointly. The will was direct. 50-50 ownership. No ambiguity. No hidden clauses. We talked about it and I offered to stay in the house and take care of it. Vanessa said she didn't want to live there anyway. Too many emotional attachments, she claimed. So she moved into one of the downtown condos our parents had also owned. Rent-free. Fully furnished. She said she needed time to figure things out. I handled the house. The leaky roof. I hired a contractor. The aging furnace. Replaced. Mowing the lawn every Saturday, repainting the porch, covering property taxes, HOA fees, pest control. I did it all. Not once did I ask Vanessa to split the costs. I wanted to keep the house in good shape. I wanted to honor Mom and Dad's memory. I thought she appreciated it. I thought we were still a team even if she was distant. I thought wrong. A few months ago I came home after a 10-hour shift at the dental office I manage. My feet hurt, my head was pounding, and all I wanted was a hot shower and my fuzzy socks. But when I tried to unlock the front door, my key didn't work. I jiggled it. Tried again. Nothing. I felt my chest tighten. Maybe the lock jammed? I hadn't changed it and there had been no recent repairs. That's when I saw it. A piece of paper taped to the door. Typed. Told. No greeting. Just this. You have no right to be here. This is MY house now. Stay away or I'll call the cops. I stood there for a full minute trying to process it. My brain refused to believe what I was reading. I checked the address again like maybe I was hallucinating. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't a joke. Vanessa had locked me out of my own home. I felt like the breath was knocked out of me. I walked around the house, peeking through the windows like some kind of trespasser. My couch was still inside. My favorite houseplant. Even my slippers by the fireplace. And I was standing outside with nothing but my purse. The neighbors were watching. I could feel it. One even came up and asked if everything was okay. I lied and said I lost my keys. But I knew something deeper was wrong. That night, I parked 2 blocks away and cried in my car until the sun came up. I tried calling Vanessa, straight to voicemail. I texted her. I messaged her on every platform I could think of. Nothing. I even drove to the condo downtown. Her lights were off. Her car wasn't there. It felt like she had vanished, but not before stealing everything that mattered to me. I called a locksmith the next morning. He told me he couldn't legally help me without proof of ownership. That's when I decided to see a lawyer. I walked into the office looking like hell. No sleep, puffy eyes, wrinkled hoodie. I dumped everything I had on the table. The will, utility bills in my name, receipts for repairs, property tax documents. The attorney flipped through them, then paused. Do you know, he said slowly, that the title is no longer in both your names? What? He turned his screen to show me. Vanessa had filed a quitclaim deed transferring the house solely into her name. Signed. Notarized. Filed and approved. My jaw dropped. That's not my signature, I whispered. He leaned in. It's not even close. The notary? Her boyfriend. A shady mortgage guy who once offered me an off-the-record loan. I refused. The two of them must have staged the whole thing. She faked my signature and he pretended I was there to sign it. Legal fraud. A felony. We had a case. A solid one. We filed a civil suit for fraud and forgery, and my lawyer also helped me report the deed to the county recorder's office and local police. It wasn't just about reclaiming property, it was about justice. And that's when I found out it was worse than I thought. While reviewing financial documents with my lawyer, I realized that the joint savings account our parents left us, money meant for future emergencies for our future kids for life stability, had been emptied. Over $84,000. Gone. Every last cent. I called the bank. The withdrawals started 3 months ago. Vanessa had transferred the money into her personal account in small chunks to avoid suspicion. It was like watching the floor fall out from under me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry again. But mostly I wanted to understand how the same sister I built pillow forts with and shared birthday cakes with could do this to me. I sat in my car outside the courthouse one evening and thought, maybe I should let it go. Maybe fighting would just cause more pain. Maybe I should move on. But then I remembered that night I cried in the back seat in the dark, staring at my house like it was a stranger's. And something inside me hardened. She didn't just steal a house. She didn't just steal money. She stole my peace. My security. My history. And the worst part? She thought I'd roll over and let her. So I decided to do what Vanessa never saw coming. I fought back. Weakly. Loudly. And with receipts. The court date came faster than I expected. For weeks, I buried myself in paperwork, depositions, and digital forensics. My lawyer, Mr. Calder, was relentless. He treated the case like it was personal, like Vanessa's betrayal offended some sacred code inside him. I think part of him saw his own sister in me, someone too trusting for her own good. The night before the hearing, I didn't sleep. I sat in my new one-bedroom apartment, staring at the stack of documents on my kitchen table. Bank records, emails, texts, receipts, screenshots, security footage, a paper trail of betrayal. I wasn't nervous. I was tired of being afraid. I arrived at the courthouse in a navy blazer and the same flats I wore to my mother's funeral. I hadn't worn them since. Vanessa showed up 10 minutes late, strutting in like she was walking into brunch. Designer heels. Hair curled. A beige trench coat over a white bodycon dress that screamed, "I'm the victim here." And then she smiled at me. Not a nervous smile. Not even smug. Just a smile that said, "You really thought you could win?" I didn't smile back. The judge, Honorable Deborah Yates, stern but fair, called us to order. Vanessa's lawyer was a man named Preston Wolfe, the kind of guy who thought talking louder made him more persuasive. He started right in, painting me as the problem. "She refused to leave the house after being asked multiple times, Your Honor." Ms. Greer was squatting, aggressive, and emotionally unstable. My client filed the proper documents and acted in accordance with the law. I glanced at Vanessa. She looked so put together. Like she'd rehearsed her expressions in a mirror. I could almost hear my parents whispering, "How did she turn out like this?" Then it was our turn. Mr. Calder stood up and said, calm and steady, "We will prove that Ms. Vanessa Greer committed real estate fraud, financial theft, and forgery. We will prove that she did not act within the law, she broke it. And most importantly, we will prove that she tried to steal not just a house but a life." He laid out the evidence one item at a time. The will stating 50-50 ownership. Emails and texts from Vanessa confirming our shared agreement. Me staying in the house, her in the condo. Receipts and invoices in my name for home repairs, taxes, maintenance all over the past 4 years. Bank statements showing I was the one keeping the house afloat. Security camera footage, clearly time-stamped, showing me living at the home consistently while Vanessa hadn't visited in over 2 years. And then the forged quitclaim deed. Mr. Calder projected the deed on the screen. Then he projected a signed lease of mine from 3 months earlier. My real signature. The difference was laughably obvious. Even Judge Yates furrowed her brow. Then came the twist. Mr. Calder said, "Your Honor, we'd like to call a witness, Nathaniel Reese, the notary listed on the quitclaim deed." Vanessa's face cracked for the first time. She looked to her lawyer. He looked confused. I could see her jaw tense. Nathaniel walked in wearing a wrinkled suit and guilt on his face. I hadn't seen him in a year. He used to come to family barbecues. My parents never liked him, but Vanessa called him ambitious. He took the stand, raised his right hand and swore in. And then he sank her. "She told me it was urgent," he began, eyes darting. "She said Natalie couldn't come to the signing but had already approved everything. She made me fill it out like she was there. Yeah, I knew it wasn't right. But I didn't think anyone would notice. I thought they were sisters. Who fights over a house? You knew it was fraud? Calder asked. Nathaniel nodded. Yeah. And you knowingly notarized a false signature? I did. Vanessa exploded. You snake. You said you'd back me up. Judge Yates slammed her gavel. Miss Greer. One more outburst and you'll be held in contempt. Her eyes were wide now. I agree. She glared at Nathaniel like she was carving him into pieces with her stare. It was the first time I saw her lose control. Calder wasn't done. He presented bank transaction records, showing slow drip transfers from the joint savings account into Vanessa's private one. He showed cell tower pings, proving I was at the house almost every night for years. And then he dropped the cherry on top. An email Vanessa sent to a friend accidentally forwarded to me once where she wrote, "Once I get Nat out, I'll sell the house and vanish. She's too soft to fight me." Judge Yates didn't even let Vanessa's lawyer respond. She asked for a 5-minute recess. When she returned, her ruling was immediate and devastating. This court finds substantial evidence of fraudulent behavior, financial theft, and criminal forgery. I am recommending immediate criminal investigation. Furthermore, the title transfer is deemed invalid. Full ownership will be restored to both parties, pending Natalie Greer's decision to pursue sole title due to damages incurred. I barely heard the rest. My ears were ringing. I wasn't crying, but I felt something uncoil in my chest. A knot that had been there since the day I found that note on the door. Then Judge Yates said the words I didn't expect so soon. Bailiffs, please detain Ms. Greer for questioning regarding the fraudulent deed. Ms. Greer, you are not under arrest at this time, but you are being detained for further legal investigation. The courtroom went silent. Vanessa gasped. You can't be serious. He's lying. This is insane. He lied. He lied. But she was already being escorted out. She turned around to look at me as they walked her past the gallery. Her smirk was gone, replaced with pure, disbelieving rage. She hissed, "This isn't over, Natalie." I didn't say anything. I just stood still. Not smug. Not gloating. Just relieved. It wasn't over. But the tide had turned. 3 months after the courtroom bombshell, I sat on the porch of my childhood home with a mug of coffee, a lawyer's envelope in my lap, and no idea how I should feel. Because I'd won. Vanessa was gone. And I still didn't feel peace. After her outburst in court, she was taken into custody. What was meant to be a simple detainment for questioning snowballed into a full-blown criminal case. Turns out Nathaniel, her ex, not only confessed to the forged notary signature but also handed over voice recordings from when they were still together. In one of them, Vanessa literally says, "Nat's too soft to fight me. I'm just speeding up what should have been mine anyway. You'll notarize it for me, right?" That one clip was all it took for the district attorney to file charges. Forgery, wire fraud, real estate fraud, identity theft, misappropriation of funds. The number of felonies stacked up like overdue bills. And suddenly Vanessa, my confident, manipulative sister, was facing serious prison time. She tried to take a plea deal, but the DA refused it once they saw the level of deception and financial theft involved. I didn't even have to testify at the criminal trial. The evidence spoke for itself. I got a call the day after the verdict. "Miss Greer," my lawyer said. "She's been sentenced to 18 months in prison, plus 5 years probation. Full restitution ordered. You'll receive monthly payments once she's released." I stared at the phone in silence. He added almost gently, "It's over." But it didn't feel over. For a while I walked around my house like a stranger. Every room had been touched by her. Some of my stuff was still missing. Jewelry, old family photos, even the yellow dish I'd kept in the kitchen since Mom died. She'd thrown it out. Said it looked cheap. That dish held more warmth than she ever did. I cleaned for days. Scrubbed the baseboards, patched up the nail holes she'd made while staging the house to sell it behind my back. I found a crumpled flyer in the trash for an exclusive open house event, scheduled just days after she locked me out. She was going to sell it all. Fast. Dirty. If I'd come home a week later, I would have returned to an empty driveway and a new name on the mailbox. And I'd never have known how deep the betrayal ran. But here's the thing they never tell you about getting justice. It doesn't undo the pain. Yes, I got my house back. Yes, she's behind bars. Yes, the world sees her for who she is now. But that doesn't fill the hole she left behind. Because as much as I hate to admit it, I still loved my sister. Some part of me still wanted her to walk through the door and say, "I messed up. I'm sorry." Even if it was too late. Even if she didn't mean it. But that apology never came. I decided not to stay in the house. Too many ghosts. Too many memories tied to pain now. I listed it quietly through a private realtor. The buyers were a young couple expecting their first child. When they toured the place, the woman gasped at the front porch swing and said, "This feels like the kind of place kids could grow up happy." I nodded and smiled and signed the papers a week later. The sale paid off my legal bills, bought me a little cottage in a quiet town 2 hours away, and left enough to start over. A fresh beginning. My new place has a small backyard, a stubborn lilac bush, and a creaky fence I've grown weirdly attached to. The neighbors wave. The mailman knows my name. No drama. No threats. Just peace. Real earned silent peace. Vanessa's been sending me letters from prison. At first they came weekly. Long rants full of venom. Accusing me of ruining her life, setting her up, and choosing money over family. I never opened them. Just placed them in a shoebox under my bed. I don't know why I kept them. Maybe part of me still wanted proof that I wasn't crazy. That she really was that cruel. One of them came last week with a short message scrawled in messy handwriting. "I hope you're proud. I have nothing left. V." I read it twice. Then I folded it neatly, placed it in the box and pushed it further back under the bed. I don't need to write back. I am proud. Not because I won. But because I didn't let her win. Don't ever confuse silence for weakness. I stayed quiet for too long. I let family guilt convince me that I owed her grace. That love meant accepting abuse. That being the good sister meant swallowing injustice. But it doesn't. You can love someone and still refuse to let them wreck your life. You can be forgiving, and still fight for what's right. And sometimes revenge isn't about fire or rage or getting even. Sometimes, it's just walking away with your head high and your life intact, while the person who tried to destroy you watches it all slip through their fingers.